dot-com crisis on that moment. We need to support the companies. Internet was starting to be developed and the importance of the digital technologies, but in that moment, the people who were working in development agencies thought that it was needed to share experience. And they made a project before the Interreg Europe program started. They made a project, some of them, 8 or 10 partners. The project were going to last during 2 years, but they worked hard in the cooperation, and they finished in the first year of the project. So it was 1991. So at the end of 1991, they decided to create a permanent collaboration framework, which was the European Association of Development Agencies. So they decided, why don't we work together and invite similar people as us to work together? Nowadays, the principle of 1991 exists, or still in Eurada. The main principle is to help the members of Eurada to solve problems. When they have any difficulties, because Europe is so diverse, maybe someone has had the same difficulty before. And I'm going to put you an example. In the south of Brussels, there is a city, an industrialized city called Charleroi. I don't know if some of you have came through Charleroi. Close to the airport of Charleroi, in fact, it is called Charleroi Airport, but in reality it's the industrial park of Goselis. Close to the airport, there were a very big factory of Caterpillar that makes this big machine that takes the things, okay? Caterpillar factory has 2,500 workers 3 years ago. After a reconversion done with the government of the region, the south region of Belgium is called Wallonia. They made a restructuration inside of the company to license all the people beyond 50 years old in order to make the factory more competitive. 1 year later, which was 3 years ago, the company one Monday said that they were going to close the factory because they have been decided in the States, in the headquarters, and they were going to close the factory from one day to another. It came an important political crisis because the company has already received grants from the regional government to restructure 1 year before. So everybody was saying, why you give money to these people if they are going to close the company anyway? And as well, this type of companies, not everything is done inside. So they have many local providers that as well were forced to shut down the company. In that moment, they called us, Eurada, and we told them, this is not the first big company who has closed ever and will not, unfortunately, be the last. So let's bring together who has been doing similar things, and let's start a task force group in order to find solutions. And we have, for example, people from the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, now the Netherlands looks very nice from outside, but they have difficult problems. There were a problem when Philips closed at the same time as a truck company that you have in Eindhoven. I don't remember well. It was a very big truck company. On the same day, Philips filed crisis and fired many employees. And as well, on the same year, the truck company break down. So Brainport Development come to tell us how they have changed Eindhoven since the moment. And we have speakers from Finland. We have people from Andalusia. In Andalusia, we are very, very good on managing crisis. We had the problem with Boliden. I don't know if you remember. And the closure of Santana Motors in Linares. So we made a task force in order to help them to harmonize and to provide a good solution in moment like that. And the conclusion for all the members of the Eurada in that moment were that it was necessary to plan this type of things to happen in advance. And since that moment, every region in Europe, we cannot say that, but every region in Europe has a contingency plan in case that some of these companies could close. Imagine if SEAT closed in Barcelona or Ford in Almusafes. Everybody has this type of, any of these companies, and even if the conditions are not the same, but it's good to have a plan that could be implemented in that moment. So the first thing, as I told you, the first thing that we do is to try to help each other when you have a very big problem. The second thing that we do, we represent professionally the profession. So the Commission continuously asks us for inputs for the new policies, because we are the people who are in the territory, so we know well what works and what doesn't work, and we continually ask we are continually asked, and this is my daily life, to answer questions that the European Union says for.
Do you, I have the feeling that innovation is one of the key priorities of the new Commission. Do you have the feeling that a regional approach or a place-based approach is getting more important, and how do you see the role of the development agencies in that?
Yeah, first, thank you very much for the question. There are two things more that you should take into consideration that are very, very close related to innovation. Green economy, innovation related to circular economy or green things, and digitalization and all the activities related to the digital economy. So this is something that the Commission is going to do. Juanma, ¿hasta cuándo? Me enrollo un montón. ¿Es 5 minutos? Corto ya.
Sí, lo antes posible.
Vale. And the two things that you should consider is the following. Regional structural funds are 1/3 of the European Union budget, and the objective, the thematic objective 1 of the proposal that is going to be approved is 80 billion euros, so 1/3 approximately of the budget. The second thing is Horizon Europe, the new program, will have 100 billion budgets, and the approach is to innovation ecosystem. We have discovered that we cannot support isolated projects, but we have to provide to the entrepreneur a system where they got what you said before, all the support that is needed in order to have a very good company. The innovation, the knowledge partners, the finance, the customers, and so on. So thank you very much for your question. I'm going to finish like that. We are almost neighbors. I'm going to put, these are the map of Eurada, and here are my contact details. Esteban Pelayo, sorry for that. If you have any other question, I could answer, and if not, the role of the development agency, sorry I didn't answer you, is to administer the European Regional Development Fund that we were talking about. The European Regional Development Fund are ruled with a strategic planning in 7 years that is called Smart Specialization Strategies, and the development agencies are the ones who are gathering all the opinions from the territory to provide the priorities. So thank you very much for your attention. It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your question, and I hope you work with development agencies in the near future.
Thank you very much. A little bit late, but now I would like to explain now.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, about the European project.
Again, timing agenda. You saw it the first time. I'm going to speak for 12 minutes, not longer. So I have your attention for 12 minutes. I spoke to you about the companies that I founded, one of which is a company in digital transformation. It is WorkHero. And I also founded the fourth one, which is a non-for-profit alliance, and it helps 2,900 startups and scale-ups active in innovation in real estate throughout Europe. It's also supported and promoted by the European Commission, but it's self-funded. What is PropTech? PropTech is who knows fintech? All right, good. So fintech is everything which is technological innovation and digital transformation in the financial sector. PropTech is exactly the same thing, but in real estate. So we're talking about innovation and digital transformation for architects, or for engineers, for contractors, for property managers, for asset managers, but also for investors and developers. So it includes, in fact, the total of the asset classes, and there's quite some of them. I put here some of the categories that are predominantly. We have finance and invest. I put already two scale-ups there too. Design and build, design and building. Market and transact is everything which has to do with contracts and with agents, for example, could be in market and transact. You have manage and operate. That's how do you operate a building? How do you manage a building? And then you have live and work. It's new technologies, services that are being implemented in real estate. It can be in offices, it can be in residential, or it can be in retail. So, if you look at what's happening in the real estate market right now, it's completely crazy the last 2 years because it's really being disrupted right now, the real estate market. I spoke to you about the co-working business that I am in this morning, but there's a lot of other things disrupting right now. So you have macroeconomic trends who put pressure on returns and efficiency. There's a lot of artificial intelligence coming into it. There's blockchain. Blockchain, when you apply it into real estate, is going to make huge profits on one side, and it's going to make a lot of cost efficiency, create a lot of cost efficiency in the different sectors. So if you look at the macroeconomic trends who are causing this transformation, this innovation, this need for innovation in real estate, is that you have climate change, because a lot of things are happening right now. We are all trying to cut our emissions all over the world. You have urban development is really booming. Cities are becoming bigger and bigger. Smaller units change the real estate landscape. That also, and then aging of the population. Now, at the same time, you have a technological revolution because you have artificial intelligence which will be integrated in building models. The governments are also stepping in because they are making everyone build in a more sustainable way. You have IoT. The building of tomorrow is being built, well, today, and it needs to be connected. So big data is very important. The blockchain, I told you that. And then mobility. Let's not forget mobility is also very important in so, what is happening in this in this real estate market and innovation? But there's two major drivers of innovation. That is the user experience and the efficiency. And that's, in fact, it's valid for a lot of categories, not only for an activity of PropTech, but also in FinTech. It's also in healthcare, for example, or in clean energy, or in waste management. Now, when you look at the startups and the funding in the European startups and scale-ups, you see there that it started 2010, it did nothing, and then it really started coming in 2014, 2016, and then 2018. What you see there is about 2 billion in 2018. If I give you the USA figures, you're gonna cry. So, in Europe, we really need to wake up from the dream that we are living right now. We are lagging behind. It's enormous. The speed of the USA of bringing a startup entrepreneur idea to the market is 21 times faster than here in Europe. So, what's happening in that market? Well, you see this, 85% of PropTech companies are in the funding process of less than 500K, which is a lot. We then move on, and we come then into a validation stage, which is about 55%. When you look at what is being invested, so I was telling you almost 2 billion in 2018, 185 billion will be invested in PropTech over the next 5 years, which is quite